Good day, everyone. Thank you for your participation in this webinar. We believe this webinar is going to be very informative for you, for both who are new and who are already aware of our products. The topic for today's session is in this slide. We will start with about Hanwha as a company, so you get a fair idea. And then we will explain to you the different training types that are offered by Hanwha Tech in Middle East and Africa. And we will dive next into the Wisenet access control system, which is today's actual topic. In this, we will study the different features available in the system and also how to design a project. For example, number of controllers required, what is the license number required, etc. In this slide, we will learn about who is Hanwha and Hanwha TechWin in specific. If I have to explain in one single statement, Hanwha is a Fortune 500 company. What is a Fortune 500 company? All the companies put together in the world, Americas, Russia, Asia, Middle East, all together, the top 500 companies in the world. It was founded in South Korea in the year 1952. Hanwha Group has many subsidiaries in the field of finance, manufacturing, and service. Hanwha TechWin is one of the subsidiary in the manufacturing responsible for CCTV. The CCTV products manufactured by Hanwha TechWin is called Wisenet. That is one of the reasons whenever you open up the camera box or whenever you see a camera, you see the label and logo Wisenet. I would like to cover the different training courses that are offered in Middle East and Africa. We have multiple courses as we have a wide variety of products from CCTV and access control. So we do both pre-sales and post-sales training. Pre-sales is more of a theory based. Post-sales will ensure you have a camera in hand, you have an NVR, you have a server and access control hardware as well for your practice. The training courses are free for any of our customers, so please feel free to get in touch with your respective sales manager or pre-sales manager or directly get in touch with me and I can register a slot for you. So the picture you see here is a hands-on session, the first day where people have just plugged in their cameras. Each group of two students gets access to different types of cameras, their own switches, their own server, NVR, access control hardware, and video wall equipment to give you a full-fledged hands-on experience. All right, so let's go ahead and cover the actual topic for today, which is net access control. The best way to begin is to study the different features that are available with this software. As some of you might be thinking whether this software has certain features like dual authorization, badging, visitor management. So we will cover all the features first and then move to the design. The first feature that is most commonly asked is dual authorization. In fact, we can do more than dual. What is the purpose of this feature is, um, imagine you have a safe box where you keep the cash. And in order to open or access that area, there has to be two-person who should swipe his card. The first person will be the supervisor, the second will be the staff. So when you need to swipe two cards or more to get access, that is called dual authorization. So How it works here is you will assign one of them as admin, the other one will be staff, and you can have a sequence, which means the first person to swipe should be the admin, and then the second person to swipe should be the staff. And this is what is meant by enforce sequence. Um, you can disable that. That means any two-person, admin and staff, can swipe without keeping the sequence. First the staff can swipe and then the admin can swipe. So this is one of the most commonly asked feature in the most premium access control system, and this feature is available. The next commonly requested feature is access groups. Of course, we need access groups. That's the reason of access control. If you have a tall tower office building and you have different floors for different um, functions or departments, and you do not want a person from department 1 to access department 2, in that case, you create access groups. You can create as many groups as you want, and a person can have up to 7 groups assigned to him. Next is a reader tamper detection. The main function of this is if somebody tampers or disconnects the reader from the controller board, it will raise an alarm and you can see it in the report. Next is interlocking feature where if you have uh, subsequent doors which leads to a particular area. For example, in this picture, the person has to enter through 2 doors to get to the building. Now, the moment he enters the first door, he has to close the first door before showing his card to the second door. If he leaves the first door open, the second door will not allow him to enter. So this is called interlocking feature. Fire mustering, fire report. This is a very critical feature for any access control system, and we have full functionality expected from fire alarm. So let's say we can assign one of the input or multiple inputs as fire input, and the moment that fire input is activated, the access control will release a set of doors which you which you assign as fire doors. Then once the fire alarm is activated, it will automatically print a report of who are inside the building. This can be done through the client. LDAP integration. Access control supports synchronizing your access control security users with the Active Directory security users. Um, this functionality is useful for an existing project where they have a large number of users and they do not want to type each and every username again into access control. You can directly connect to their Active Directory and import those users into access control system. SMTP refers to the email integration where you can ask the software to send an email based on any event that occurs in the access control system. For example, whenever there is a access denied or forced open or any specific safe area has been a rule has been violated, somebody trying to enter the safe box, situations like that, you can ask the software to send an auto email. We have a very elaborate functionality for lift access control. We have a dedicated tabs and reports and etc. In this picture, what you see is you can create 2 lifts, each having a group of floors, and you can assign users to a specific group of floors that he can access. and the lift that he can access. Typically used in office buildings where a person is not allowed to enter certain sensitive floors like finance department or the CEO department or etc. Or as a hotel guest, you are not allowed to enter the back house or a specific floors reserved for VIPs. So there is also a functionality for time and attendance. You can assign one reader as the time attendance reader. It could be any of the readers in the project, and it will automatically um, calculate the number of hours the person was in the office based on the first time he swiped and the last time he swiped before leaving the office. And we have a report generation tool where you can export this report in CSV or PDF file and for your own purposes. Anti-pass back is also a very commonly asked feature. If a person enters a building through the reader, the entry reader, uh, and then before he leaves, he should also swipe his card at the exit reader. If he forgets to swipe it, he cannot enter back again. There are two modes. One is the real mode and timed mode. Timed mode means if the person enters the building and then you set a time, let's say 10 to 15 minutes. Um, if someone else is trying to use his card and enter within 10 to 15 minutes, it will not allow for him to enter. So that is one option you can do. Or real. Real means unlimited time. Until the person uses his card to exit, he cannot reuse the card to enter the building. So we have elaborate options to configure this. As you can see in the picture, you can assign which is the entrance reader, which is the exit reader. Guard Tour is another feature which is usually sold as a separate software by many companies. For us, it is a built-in feature where, let's say, you own a hotel property and you want the security guard to check all the exits and the main critical areas physically. How do you ensure that? You can put a reader in those critical areas and ask the guard to physically go there and swipe his card, and you can put a sequence saying door 1, door 2, door 3, door 4, and door 5, and make sure he swipes all of them uh, by that particular on that particular day. You can also time saying that at 10 p.m. you should be in door 1 and so on to door 2, door 3, and etc. We have a built-in visitor management application where you can register certain cards and give groups as visitor cards. And then when somebody comes in, we will have a dedicated visitor management application where the operator can enter the guest details and issue or check in the card. When the guest leaves, you can check out and reissue to someone else. There is no additional license for this feature. It is a built-in feature within our software. What you see here is the details that is entered, the purpose of visit, who's the host, what's his number. You can even attach a photo. Mapping, access control software supports mapping function where you can have a floor map and insert the readers on it. By the way, we also have VMS software, and in our VMS software also you can put CCTV icon and door icons, which will come later. User management. We have a very elaborate user management. You will never run out of options to enter data. We have 6 parts to this. The first is the basic information about a person and his company and department and ID and photo, etc. Next, the card information for this person. You can have multiple credentials for a particular person. He can have a Bluetooth card, he can mobile card, he can have a standard PIN code, or he can have a standard card. So He can have as many cards as you like, and you can assign different groups for different cards for a particular user. We also have dedicated lift group where you can assign specific lift for that person. Detailed information. These are additional information like Emirates ID and so on. So if you have a fingerprint reader, you can register the fingerprints from the administration console itself. You don't need to go to any other separate application. In the same area where you enter his details, you can capture his fingerprint and upload it to the fingerprint reader. Similarly for face recognition. Last is if any of the field is not sufficient, you can still create your own fields. 128 additional fields you can create. Um, it could be family details or something like that. IO linking is a functionality which you might require, which is basically if there is an input, you can activate a certain output. So this is like basic PLC kind of programming. All right. The software supports to have multiple sub uh, access control settings. For example, you can have a tower of 50 floors and every 10 floor is subletted to different companies. So you can have one master software and have sub settings for each company. Um, you don't need to have separate licenses or you don't need to have separate servers. You can manage from one system itself for different companies. We also offer a meal counting option where you can dedicate a reader for counting how many times the staff has used the canteen facility or the pantry facility, etc. We also support detailed time scheduling where if you have a specific card that has to be working only for a certain time, you can allow that. You can also include holiday groups. So all this functionality that you need is available within the access control software. Reporting, access control without reporting is no use. We have a very detailed reporting functionality, and if you still need anything additional, a customized report, we can create it for you. Some of the report formats that are available are cardholder report, which is a full cardholder status, or cardholder by each door, or if you want who accessed each door or who accessed a specific doors, you can also get that report. Event report is if you can select a specific event that you want a report for, which you will see in the next slide. Mustering is the fire alarm report. Lift access group, who accessed the lift. Auditing is who logged in, who logged out, what changes was done to the software. And then additional reports are meal counting, guard tour, visitor management, and work hour report or time and attendance. This is the snapshot of event report where you can create a report for last 1 month, how many times there has been violated or door forced open or access denied or battery issue or tamper alarms, so on. You can choose what you like and create a report. The access control software has a database. People usually do manual backup. However, you can automatically set a backup for the software. So every week, every day, it will automatically create a database backup and save it in the file or a server file location. Event data management. You can customize how long the data should stay in the database before it gets overwritten or deleted. Of course, you can create multiple users, whether he can access the visitor management part, whether he can access the configuration part, or whether he can open the monitoring tab. You can even customize each door if a particular operator has access to manually unlock or lock it, or has access to view the status of those doors. We support importing users. For example, if you have a lot of users that you have already saved in Excel sheet, first name, last name, you can directly import them using this function. In addition to that, you can also export the users from the software. This feature is integration. SSM is our VMS platform, is freely integrated to access control software. There is no license required and it is always up to date. So when SSM version is upgraded, the integration software is automatically updated with access control system. What functionality can be expected is if there is a access granted or access denied, you can pop up a camera in the VMS software. In the VMS software, you can have mapping for both cameras as well as doors. And also from the VMS software, you can control the access control for unlock or locking function. However, if you want to create a new user cardholder, you still have to go to access control configuration setup. What else do we have? Badging functionality. You can create your own badge design in access control software at no additional license. It's a built. We will now look at some of the features in the client monitoring application. Not the configuration part where you add users, but the standard security operators who are reviewing the in and out details of the staffs and guests. Monitoring application has one unique feature where we call it door management. Using this, you can quickly check the status of all the doors. If any of them is locked or unlocked, you can do those changes here. Ideally, it is used in case of a fire alarm, all the doors are open. You don't have to manually go and lock each door. You can just select all and then lock them and reset all the forced alarm. So also in the client interface, you can directly right click on the door and select whether to lock or unlock or reset any forced door alarm. You can do this from the map as well. So this is the client interface where you can view all the alarms. You can also do other functions where you can quickly acknowledge all the alarms as a bulk. You can enter description before you acknowledge the alarm. You can clear the events. You can view the guard tour status. You can also get a fire mustering report of who is inside. Alarm data search we will see in the next slide, where you can search all the alarms that occurred in the access control system and whether they have been acknowledged or not and who caused it, etc. The software allows you to customize the alarms for each event, including sound. The client software can be automatically locked if somebody leaves the PC open without any activity. Configuration type. So there are two ways to design the project. Um, the first method is a centralized system. The second is distributed. Centralized is the most commonly used due to price. Distributed is slightly an expensive method of doing. Uh, in the centralized system, you will find that there is one master controller and rest of them are subcontrollers. The master controller talks to the subcontroller using RS-485 communication.
The master control, however, talks to the software above using network Cat6 TCP/IP. The master controller itself does not talk to the readers, and that's why you will see the subcontrollers are the one talking to the readers. If the communication is lost for the master controller to the software or the network is disconnected, the master controller has the capacity to log all the details till the communication is restored. However, if the RS-485 is disconnected between master controller and subcontroller, then the chances are the subcontrollers do not work. There is an option, however, to work in degraded mode, which is not the full-fledged mode, where it checks each and every detail of the card before accessing. There is a degraded mode option where the board will only check for the facility code of the card and allow the user for the time being till the communication is restored. One more situation is if the reader board loses power, what will happen? There is no issue. The looping between the reader board does not depend on powering those boards. The next is distributed. In distributed, you will find that the controller talks directly to the reader and it talks directly to the software. And for every um, set of one or two readers, you will have a controller. So there is no concern for loss of communication with subcontrollers. In case the controller loses communication, only those specific doors will be out of or offline. So what you see here is the subcontroller talks through the RS485 to the master controller before going to the software, which is not the case when it comes to distributed solution. You can have a project with both options. There may be a situation where inside the building you have centralized, but a remote guard area, you can have one distributed controller there. Instead of pulling all the RS485 wire, you can just install a remote controller and reader and power it through PoE. All right, so what are the different types of controllers? Um, in centralized, we just have one model, V1000. What is centralized? The central one talks to the software, and then distributed, V2000. Each controller talks directly to the reader as well as the software. Now, one thing to note is both the controller V1000 and V2000 requires external power. There are situations where you need controllers which will be powered over PoE, so they also are available. It's EH400. Now, the centralized controller talks to the reader board, that is referred as V100. Then, what are the different types of readers that we have? We have standard reader with keypad and mobile ID, where by Bluetooth it can read the credential stored inside the mobile phone or NFC. We also support fingerprint reader with card. This is not really popular at the moment. We have a face and card reader as well. In addition to this, we supply registration kits like card scanner, where you can quickly read the card numbers to register, and also fingerprint scanner to scan fingerprints during the time of registration. So what you see here is the V1000. Now this is important slide. V1000 can talk to 20 reader boards or 20 sub controllers. All right. What you have here is a master controller. A master controller can talk to 20 sub controllers, and the sub controllers can be a two reader board or input output board, which we'll see in the next slides. So this is the master controller. You can see there is the power on the top. It also has feature to monitor the cabinet or enclosure tamper. It can check the battery failure status, power supply status. Next, on the left side is where you see the RS485 port connection. Nowhere you will find reader port because V1000 does not talk to the reader. It talks to other boards, which in turn talks to readers. What you will find here unique is the TCP/IP Ethernet at the base, which is used to connect to the network switch to communicate with the software. One more thing to take a note is the fire alarm input is usually connected to the master controller, which is V1000. The next is the subcontroller V100. First thing you will note is you will not find any TCP/IP, and the next thing is you find the reader ports on the left and on the right. There are two readers which can be controlled, and assume that they are two different doors. You can have two different or separate door contacts, push buttons, um, lock relays, and additional output as well. So remember, one V1000 can talk to 20 such boards, V100 boards. Now, V200 is also a board. You can use this instead of V100. Let's say you have 20 doors and you don't have reader, you only have door contacts, and you want to monitor door contacts. You can connect those door contacts to this specific board designed only to receive inputs. So you don't need to buy so many V100s. You can just buy two boards. Each has 16 inputs to monitor the door status. Now we have the output board. Output board is required in a situation where you have to control lift. So let's say you have to control 20 floors, then you need to send 20 relay outputs to the lift control. If you have multiple lifts, each have 20 floors. For every lift, you need to consider separate outputs. So if I have one lift with 20 floors, I need two of these boards because each has 12 outputs. All right, so now I got 24 and 4 is still spare. Imagine I have two lifts. In that case, I need 40 outputs. So 40 divided by 12, I need 4 boards to control two lifts. V2000 is same as V1000. However, the controller itself will talk to the readers. The controller itself will talk to the software also. So what you see here is the controller, master controller itself has got reader ports as well as Ethernet port. EH400 is also a distributor controller where the controller itself will talk to the software and it will talk to the reader, but it supports only one door. All right, so these are the different types of reader that we have. We have the standard R10, R40, RK40 with the keypad. We have a feature to optionally add Bluetooth functionality as well. So if you want Bluetooth based readers, we can supply them. And you can use your phone with the access control card to twist and enter the office, or you can tap and enter your office without showing a physical card. Fingerprint reader. This also supports card reading. face recognition reader. Another hardware that we supply as well is the enclosure box. You can put two boards inside. It comes with the power supply. There is an option to insert battery. However, battery is not supplied. You can make your own enclosure, and there is no compulsory mandatory that you should buy this enclosure from Wisenet. Now comes the software. The software is very simple. If you have 30 doors, you can go with a 32 door license. So there are actually three options only: 32 door, 256 door, and unlimited. And if you have 200 doors, you go with 256 license. If you have 257 doors, you have to buy the unlimited door license. So the takeaway here is you can have as many doors as you want. The software supports unlimited doors. Integration is freely included. The access control software itself is free for 5 doors. So if you have a small project, you don't even have to buy this entire features that we just saw. All the features are included. Now, the access control software, when you install, it will install the database, it will install the main administration console, it will install the monitoring console. You can install monitoring console in other PCs as you like, and also visitor management. You can install in as many PCs as you like. Then there is one more application that you need to note is the gateway application. Gateway application is the intermediate or the postman between the controller and the software. The gateway, there is no license. You can install as many times as you want. The reason for the gateway is each gateway can support a certain number of hardware only. For example, one gateway can talk to 320 readers or 8 master controllers P1000. If you have more than that, you need to install another PC with a gateway. If you have less than 320 readers, you can install all of this application in one PC itself. You don't need to have a separate PC for gateway. You don't need a separate PC for administration or database. Even let's say you have a project for 50 readers. Just take one PC, install all the application in that PC and call it access control PC. So what are the total equipments that Hanwha supplies is the controller for the access control, the card reader, the cards, and the access control software. We also supply the enclosure for the controller and reader boards. What is not supplied and should be purchased from external source or the local source is the magnetic locks, strike locks itself, the push buttons, door contacts, access control cables, brake glass, the battery unit for the controller, and the same battery unit goes inside the enclosure. And overall, to install the software, you need a PC. So the PC also you need to purchase from the local market. All right, let's take a project example. And before we do that, let's just summarize what we learned. Each V1000 master controller supports 20 subcontrollers or 20 reader boards. Each subcontroller V100 supports 2 readers. And gateway, the access control software gateway, each gateway supports 320 readers. or 8 master controllers. Now, take an example of a project with 100 doors and 100 readers. That means entry is reader, exit is push button. So in this case, the first thing that I need to do is calculate the number of reader boards or subcontrollers that I need. V100 each 2 readers, so 100 reader divided by 250. Then for the subcontrollers, I need a master controller. Each master controller supports 20 subcontrollers. So 50 subcontroller divided by 20, I get 3 master controllers. All right, now the software. Since I have 100 doors, I need to go with 256 door license. And that's it. Another example, let's say 30 doors and 60 readers. What is the meaning of this? That means I have in and out reader. All right. So I need how many subcontrollers? 60 divided by 2, 30. And then I need 2 master controllers because each can do 20 subcontrollers. So that's 2. In terms of license, I need for the doors, not for the readers, 32 door license. All right, let's take an example of distributed as well as centralized structure. Let's say I have a project with 100 readers, 100 doors, and 1 reader at the guardhouse for the main car entry. So the first part is straightforward. V100 equal to total number of readers. Let's say I want to install inside the building uh, centralized system, and outside the building for the guardhouse, I will put a distributed controller or a PoE controller. So going forward, I have 100 readers and 100 by 2, 50 subcontrollers, and each master controller can control 20 subcontrollers, so that makes it 3. And then for the guardhouse, I do not wish to buy additional master controller and subcontroller for a remote area. I will just buy a combined controller H400, which will connect one reader near the guardhouse, and I will plug it to the nearest Cat6 connection or switch. The software that is required is more than 100 doors, so 256 door license. The last example is distributor structure again, 100 doors, 100 readers. Here, I don't need to calculate subcontrollers because the controller itself will control the readers. So if you have 100 doors, 100 readers, you will just divide the number of readers by 2 because each master controller controls 2 readers divided by 2. So 50, I need 50 master controllers and the number of licenses is 256. So here I have 30 doors and 60 readers, which means 60 I have to take, not 30, because master controller is talking to readers. So 60 divided by 2, I need 30 master controllers for 30 doors. So this is again another summary. What we just learned. Each master controller, 20 expansion board. 20 expansion board has 2 reader ports each, so 40 readers. And one gateway can talk up to 320 readers, which is 8 master controllers. You can have unlimited gateway. That's why you can have unlimited number of doors and readers. The distributed system, the capacity is mentioned here. It's slightly higher. This brings us to the end of today's session. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat window on the right side. I will be answering them either by chat or by voice.